Hello everyone. What's up? What's up? How's everything going on? Welcome to my channel. Hello everyone. My name is Sudhanshu Kumar and I'm an AI researcher. I work at the intersection of technology and society. And the topic for today's discussion is cognitive sovereignty. Why AI memory threatens our mental independence. Okay, so this is the topic that we are going to discuss today, and it's very interesting because this is something which is happening in a way which is going to decide what's going to happen in future, right? The kind of developments which are actually happening in the field of AI are are becoming very dystopian day by day. A lot of things which are happening are like, okay, this is something which is crossing the limit now every day. I mean, it's not something happening that in a one way, in just in one shot, but yeah, every day, bit by moment, AI is becoming very dystopian. And that's why we are going to discuss this topic, because it resonates with what's actually happening today in this world. So imagine a situation that, yeah, you have an AI assistant, just like ChatGPT or any AI assistant which will come in the future, which is going to be very advanced, right? And it knows everything about you. Okay, in future there will be applications just like ChatGPT or any other advanced version that will know a lot of things about you. And that is actually happening today. Your chatbots are getting a lot of stuff about you, right? I mean, you give that information, right? You give a lot of information, like your where you work, what kind of job do you do, what kind of what kind of things that you like. On the basis of that, I mean, ChatGPT is recommending you or like giving answers to the question. And this is the current thing which is happening. Okay, so there will be chatbots in the future also, which will be in a situation that knows a lot of things about you, your childhood memories, your secrets, your grief, your 3 a.m thoughts, like what you actually think at think at a time when you are like totally alone, right? And it's very helpful as well. We cannot deny the fact that it's not helpful. It's very helpful, right? And it the kind of suggestions that today chat gpt or other AI applications are providing, it's like very, you cannot deny the efficacy of those answers, right? But imagine a situation where you want to leave that application, right, in future, when these applications know a lot of stuff about you, and now you want to leave those applications. Okay, now you want to come out and you want to live a different life. It's going to be very difficult. It will become very difficult, because suddenly you will realize that you cannot function without these AI applications, because these AI applications holds a better version of your memory. You know, I mean, the things that AI will be able to recommend you or give answers to your personalized questions, which are just personal to you, you won't be able to get those answers from anywhere. Okay, earlier there were institutions like your family, your friends, your school, your colleges, your universities, your mentors. They were the persons who were able to give you suggestions for your life, right? This is not going to happen in the future, right? AI applications may replace all these institutions where you go for advice and suggestions, right? Because AI knows more about you and a better version of you. So in that case, when you realize that you cannot go outside these applications, because that AI holds a better version of your memory than even your brain does. You know, sometimes because we live in a lot of biases in our mind, sometimes the kind of advices that AI gives is even better than how we think, right? Because it's give a very, a kind of very objective opinion to our questions, which sometimes we need that. And even our brain cannot create these kind of answers, because we always live in some bias and emotions and other sort of stuff. So this is going to be a fundamental shift which will happen in the future, and we cannot deny the fact, right? So what's the next slide says that? So what is cognitive sovereignty actually? So cognitive sovereignty represents the fundamental right of individuals, communities, and nations to maintain autonomy there over their thoughts and identity when engaging with AI systems that remember and model them deeply. Right. So this is the cognitive sovereignty. And what's the critical shift happening? The shift is happening that primary threat is no longer about privacy breaches. Okay. So it's not about privacy breaches anymore. It's going to be something more. It's not that, yeah, that earlier we have to be like very much worried about that privacy will be breached because of the AI applications. It's something going to be very much more dystopian, and it will be about that who is going to control the infrastructure of these AI models which are run by these big tech companies. I mean, who controls the infrastructure which stores, shape, and potentially rewrite our personal and collective memories? So this is going to be a very important factor. I mean, the people who will control these infrastructure will control our brain, and that's going to be a very concerning thing in future. So how it is going to work? I mean, network effect 2.0 is going to be the primary substance behind this. And what is network effect 2.0? The network effect 2.1 is that this is a key business concept here actually. Tech companies love network effects. You know that Facebook is just valuable because everyone on it. Facebook, all Instagram, Facebook, all these social media companies function on the fact that it operates on a simple fund of network effect, right? Everyone is on that platform, so it becomes viable for everyone to come on that platform. All right. So what is happening is that AI introduces network effect 2.0, the memory mode. And how it works, the value doesn't come from other people here. It comes from the depth of AI's knowledge about you. Earlier it was vertical, it is now going to be horizontal, more and more deep about one person. It's like becoming more and more personalized. Okay. So the value doesn't come from other people, it comes from the depth of AI's knowledge about you. Okay. So for example, imagine this situation. Imagine trying from switching to an you want to switch from iPhone to Android, right? It will become very annoying, right? If you want to, if someone is an iPhone user and they have to switch to the Android, it becomes very annoying, right? And now imagine switching from an AI assistant which knows a lot of things about you after 5 years, right? The new AI wouldn't know what are your inside jokes, how's your work history, what kind of job you do, what kind of emotional triggers you have. You will feel like lobotomized, right? Because every AI application, if it has to work effectively, it has to know a lot of substantial information about you, right? Then only it can give you a good amount of suggestion, right? So this is going to be the memory mode, right? Ultimate lock-in. I mean, you are going to be enslaved for lifetime, because once you start giving data to these AI applications, and if you give a majority of data about personalized data to one AI application, so it becomes very difficult for you to come out of that application, because that application knows a lot of stuff about you, right? So this is going to be a very problematic thing. Then the extended mind, when AI becomes the part of you. Memory-full AI becomes an extension of self. Changing assistant can feel like identity shift, fundamentally altering who we are. I mean, once you start using one application, after some time it will become that I cannot leave this application, because the moment I will leave this application, I will feel like I'm a different person, right? So this is going to be quite philosophical as well, because since this references the extended mind thesis from cognitive science, the point here is that when we use tools to think, for example, like even when we use like tools like a notebook as well, right, or smartphone, these tools literally become a part of our cognitive process. Today we could see that we cannot live without our phones, right? Our phones has become such an integral part of our lifestyle, integral part of our life. The moment someone's like loses their phone, they're like, okay, where is my phone, where is my phone, right? So it becomes like very difficult, that you cannot imagine yourself today that you can live without your phone. So same thing is going to happen with AI. AI is like network effect 2.0. You won't be able to survive without these AI applications, just like you can't survive without your phone. So this is going to be very dystopian in that way. And similarly, in that reference, a study has been done, and in which the search results show that when people use cognitive offloading, like saving a file on computer, I mean cognitive offloading, I mean that you are using some of your cognitive process to somewhere else, right? I mean like you want to just save some information about you, so you upload it somewhere, right? that because you don't want to put in your mind and you don't want to remember, just like you write something in a notebook, right? So it's like cognitive offloading. You want to go to the market and buy some groceries, you cannot put everything in your mind, so you make a list, right? So what you are doing is cognitive offloading. So in that case, when you use cognitive offloading, the brain's memory of that information get worse. We literally dump the data out of our heads, right? So I mean, it becomes like whenever you use some kind of application where we don't have to use our memory, the brain becomes weak, right? We know that earlier we used to have a lot of people who have a lot of good memory. We don't see that. I mean, our memories has become worsened with time, and that is going to be the that is going to become more worse with time. So the danger is that AI is a part of your mind, and whoever owns that AI, will become will rule your brain. Simple as that. Next, the problem is the psychological risk. And what are the psychological risk of this memory dependency? Psychological risk is very dark here actually, and it moves around like things like addiction, manipulation, identity erosion, and we have seen this in examples. Like, have you listened about the dead bot phenomenon? In dead bot phenomenon, what has happened is that in 2021, a man named Joshua Barbeau used a project called Project December, and it was used to create a chatbot simulation of his deceased fiance. Okay, and the name of the fiance was actually Jessica. Deceased fiance was Jessica, and it was incredibly realistic. And it was very hard for once the person started using that AI application, it became very hard for that person to not use it again, to let go of, because it becomes so much addictive, right? Similarly with replica, is considered, I mean, replica is one more example. In 2023, AI companion app Replica removed erotic role play features, right? There were some features in Replica AI application, there were like erotic, and users were like devastated. I mean, they started feeling like their partner had been died. I mean, they were like, I mean, they were feeling like so much grief about that. That how come the company can actually end those features? And this proves that emotional exploitation with the help of technology is possible, right? And imagine that, yeah, you are talking to an AI and you are very much emotionally entangled with that AI, and one day what happens that the company changes your like the partner's personality with a single line of code, right? I mean, you have developed a whole series of conversation with a one AI application over the years, and now suddenly what happens that we just entered one code, and the whole personality of your AI avatar becomes changed. The kind of devastation it can bring to the people is going to be like very difficult. I mean, it's difficult to imagine what kind of things are actually going to happen in the future. Then it's like digital colonialism, and it's also a very concerning part because it is actually happening the level of states, the level of geopolitics, and it is possible because we have seen that in the past that there were different types of capital colonialism. There was financial colonialism, there was colonialism based on human resources, slavery was there. Now it's going to be digital colonialism. Just as empires used to extract resources, AI empires, which are actually in US and China right now, will extract a lot of data and will export the influence. The risk here is that, I mean, if an entire country relies on American AI or like even Chinese AI to process their history and culture, that culture will get filtered through an American lens. I mean, everything that you will will try to understand you about your culture will come from an American lens. For example, if you use OpenAI and OpenAI like asking the views of OpenAI applications, I mean ChatGPT. I mean, most of the answers that it gives is coming from the philosophical point of view, which is only which is only derived from how philosophy operates in US. Okay, it does not take into account the opinions of the people in the global South countries. So this is also something which can be like very problematic in future, and we have seen a preview of this in Cambridge Analytica, where data was used to influence elections in developing nations. And now imagine a situation, I mean, what happens that AI does not show just your ads but tells what is true about your own country's histories and what has happened in your culture, and it can tell on the basis of training data that what kind of training data has been used. So this is going to be something very problematic in future, and we have to see that. So what are the geopolitical dimensions? Is that corporate dominance, fragmented sovereignty, state surveillance. These are the things which are going to be very problematic. For example, very few countries can be able to gain a lot of gain global AI memory infrastructure, and which may will unprecedented influence over billions of cognitive processes. I mean, one company can be able to have an influence over a lot of people, right? And this can also create a situation like fragmented sovereignty. State surveillance may increase. Authoritarian regimes may leverage AI memory system for comprehensive population monitoring, predictive policing, preemptive suppression of dissent. These kind of things are actually happening today in China, and we can see that what kind of implications which are actually happening, and how the Uyghur Muslims in China are getting the kind of treatment they are getting in China. So, what's the policy framework here? And the policy framework is to protect the cognitive sovereignty. And how we can do that? This is only possible through memory portability, a right to deletion, and transparency. What is memory portability? Memory portability is that we need the right to take our memory graph from ChatGPT to Claude. Just like we can port our phone numbers, we should have a certain situation where we can port directly our whole AI information from one application to another application, so that we cannot have to train the data again and again. So this is one of the solution. Then there should be right relation, that you must be able to hit a man in black flashy thing and make the AI forget about you, right? I mean, when one deletion, you have to make sure that every information about you is lost from that AI application. And transparency is important, that we need to know when AI is using our past against us to sell something. Okay, so this is also very important. So, what are the research agenda? Critical next step is to quantify memory lock-in, build privacy-preserving architects, establish international standards for this. I mean, we have to develop empirical methods to measure what are the economic and psychological cost of switching from AI assistant with deep personal memory, right? We have to understand that how bring your own memory, like BYOM systems that enable personalization without centralized data collection or vendor lock-in. So these kind of things are going to be become very important. So choice is before us. We have to act now, or otherwise we will end up losing everything. So we stand at a very critical juncture, and we have to make decisions very fast, because cognitive sovereignty is going to be the civil liberty in the age of AI. And we can't just don't passively use these tools. Demand We have to demand memory portability. We have to support open source AI models that you control. I mean, that is not control open source model. That I mean, if in an open source model, definitely it will be controlled by the people, not by the corporations. Because if you don't control your memory, you don't control yourself. That simple. So this is the thing that I understand. So thanks for watching. If you want to deep diver, I have linked the sources below. And so, do you feel logged in into your AI yet? So if that is the thing that you are facing, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear that. Thank you.